So next, I'm very honored to hand over to Pippa Smart to host the other three speakers. And Dr. Pippa Smart worked as well-known consultant at PSP Consulting, Oxford, UK. I know Pippa Smart for many years. Thank you so much.
Charlie, thank you so much for that kind introduction. And we're now moving on to the next three speakers. And we're moving on from peer review with our next speaker, Melissa Harrison, to talk about some of the technologies which underpin the way that we are able to communicate across the globe and between different journals and different platforms. So Melissa, I mean, your day job, if you don't mind me saying, is as head of production operations at eLife. And eLife itself is a fascinating organisation with a lot of innovation going on. But apart from that, and I can't believe how many things you do, you're also on the board of Crossref and take part in the JATS working groups at the NISO. So NISO is the National Institution for Standards Organisation, or some words similar to that. I think I might have got some of the words wrong, but NISO is the body that actually sets a lot of the standards for technology, which we are not aware are being used, but which underpin the communications in the scholarly area that we take advantage of without actually knowing exactly how they work. And JATS is one of those systems, and introduced in, I believe it was 2003, so it's been going a long time. But this is one of the systems that allows us to communicate and to make our sites inoperable. So although the technology itself might be slightly beyond my understanding, its importance is absolutely paramount to the way that we communicate. So Melissa is taking part as the working group on using JATS for reusability. And so Melissa, I'd like to introduce you. So if you would like to start your presentation, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to share my screen and just double checking, can you all see the slides?
Yes, we can, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. So, oh gosh, those other two presentations were fascinating. So I haven't mentioned eLife here at all on these slides because JATS4R is something I do on the voluntary side of things, but eLife is a platform for science communication, and some of the slides will show our the journal outputs. So it's an open access journal, but also we're very involved in preprint review. So eLife now, if you submit to the journal, you also have to submit a journal to a preprint server, article to a preprint server, and the peer reviews are open. So it was fascinating hearing those other things. So thank you. But as Pippa said, thank you for inviting me to this session. I'm talking about JATS4R. So I know that quite often pointy brackets are quite scary to people, so I'm going to try and kind of show the benefits of XML and the importance of it as well. So eLife does not follow a particularly traditional methodology now for journal article publishing, and I know this slide might seem quite antiquated in a way, but this is how a lot of publishers are working. So you have the editorial process, and the author submits the manuscript, the editors and reviewers are doing all their work, and then it gets output into the production process, which involves copy editing, conversion processes, and quality control. So with our submission system, we get XML out of that and we convert to XML within the production process, and then this drives all of the online and archiving and those sorts of processes. So during the production process, we convert whatever the author has provided into XML, and that's the kind of base format for a lot of publications now. I just wanted to also say that bioRxiv also outputs XML as well, so there's already kind of XML in the process there, and some other preprint servers. So this drives the typesetting of the PDF, which is one output, and also for the online version, and also all downstream deliverables. I'm not able to, why is it? Oh, there we go. So just to, so XML, it's extensible markup language. That's what it stands for. And it defines a set of rules for encoding a document. So, and that's so that it can be read at the human readable level, but also at the machine readable level. Now, I realize that the screenshot I've got here is probably quite hard to actually see what's going on in there. But XML it allows you to mark up your content so that it can be used in many different ways and it can drive different things. And also it's providing the semantic understanding of what's going on in there. So for instance, if you have an author, one of the big issues is author first names and surnames, all the different ways that authors' names can be presented. When you've just got a document, a Word file, how does anybody know which is the first name, the surname, or the different ways of presenting that? And unless you encode that when you send it to other servers, it could end up getting quite messed up. So it's not clear to the other place what is what. So that's the kind of the job of the production process in the XML and the is to make sure that that's clear. Likewise, the article title, what's the abstract, if you've got math in there, what someone's affiliation is, all those sorts of things are encoded within XML. And so it's used as a storage as well within your own internal system, but also to kind of transmit and the conversion to online display, as well as kind of PDF displays as well. Again, I'm struggling out, there we go. So JATS, so a DTD is a document type definition. So anybody can create a set of rules using XML and they can do kind of whatever they like with it. But JATS as a standard, it's an ANSI NISO standard. It allows the publishing industry to work together so that they tag up their content in a similar way. So if you've got author, that's standard. Everyone's tagging using the word author or using a tag that indicates what's funding or just kind of general things like that. And it means that the content is interoperable with other systems and with your own system. But because so many publishers are using it, its purpose, it needs to be quite loose. So different publishers have got different needs for their internal systems and for all the different types of things that they're tagging up, because obviously everyone's experimenting and doing things differently. It can't be too strict. So that's where JATS4R came in. Because JATS is purposely quite loose and people can do things in a number of different ways, that means interoperability with other systems can actually be quite tricky because you have to be able to kind of pick out the pieces that are of interest or that you need to transmit. And so a lot of systems where we're sending our content to various different places are having to decode every different publisher's way of doing something. So we started up JATS4R quite some time ago now, to try and tighten that up a bit. So if people can conform to JATS4R standards, it becomes easier for people to look at the content, machines to look at the content and understand what is going on underneath. So before I talk about how and why that's important, I just wanted to indicate who contributes to JATS4R. So the steering committee is composed of myself, someone from NCBI, BMJ, 15 Green Publishing Consultants, Global Knowledge Works, and also High Wire Press. And we have a lot of people working with us. It's a voluntary organisation, so we create these standards and everyone is giving up their time to get involved. Cielo are very, they contribute a lot. But also we've got these other groups that there's a lot of people that contribute their time. Thank you to everyone, but these are just some examples. So what is the point? So I found this source quite some time ago, and I mean, I think there are loads of different sources that will tell you the same, but I think that the thing for a data scientist is that the most consuming time that is taken up is in cleaning and organizing the data. And that's what is so frustrating. So from my day job, where I'm a great supporter of open science and the ability to kind of meta-analyze all the content, this is such a wasted effort. So JATS4R's aim is that if everybody can conform their JATS XML into kind of the JATS4R format, then we can seriously reduce that cleaning and organization time. I mean, obviously for my day job at eLife, and we've got NCBI PMC representation on the steering committee, open access helps in the collecting the data format as well. But it's the cleaning and the organizing that takes up so much time. And that's why it is so important. And so why does this matter? Because you don't want your journal to live in a vacuum. As we all know, there's more and more content being produced. There's more platforms where that can be found, and being able to make your voice heard and make your content available and accessible to other people, it's really important. It's discoverable. And how you can do that is by having well-structured XML that you can pass around to other places. And, you know, I've already talked about the meta-analysis and how important that is. So a lot of my work on eLife is in open science initiatives. And unless you can kind of prove the benefit of these things, then it's difficult to kind of help push things forward. So that's where that really helps. So there's a subgroup that I'm working on at the moment that is looking at software citations. So we know that content is a journal article is important, but also so is the data and the software that backs it up, and people reusing these elements or making them available. All these things, if they're encoded and tagged well in XML, then we can show that people are reusing these elements and making them available for reproducibility efforts as well. So it is very important, and this helps. Okay, that was a very kind of a quick overview. I didn't want to go into too much detail on XML, but it was more of a flavour of hoping that I could kind of show how important it is to the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Melissa. I mean, that was a very succinct and clear snapshot of the value of JATS. And also you highlighted, we just have a minute, I have a question, because you highlighted that XML as being too loose. With this new concept of the JATS4R, will it be a much more restrictive tagging suite that journals will be expected to conform to?
Well, so JATS4R has a validator, and you can check your content to see whether it conforms. It's a recommended practice rather than it being a standard at NISO. So our hope is that as people change their systems and update to new versions of JATS, they'll be able to take those issues on board. Now, some of the recommendations that have come out took a lot of effort, because it's established types of things that people have been doing very differently for a long time, and they've been contentious because of that. Some of the areas where I set up recommendations and work on are all the new things that are coming out. So for instance, publishing peer review materials, software. And the idea is if you can get some tagging recommendations out before people start doing this stuff, then you can create a standard way of tagging it earlier on in the system, and it's easier for people to do it. Does that answer the question?
Yes, I think it does. And I think also, you know, thinking about our communities worldwide, there's a lot of different understandings and different abilities to actually implement these JATS suites. And of course, that can lead to a two-tier situation with disadvantaged journals not being able to take advantage of the interoperability that this technologies can cause. And I wonder if at NISO or yourself, do you have any resources or guidance that journal editors can sort of push to the right technical people to actually promote implementation of these standards?
Not so much, but I would say that at eLife, we are, because we have a technology arm, and we are developing tools such as ScienceBeam is one of them, that is looking at converting PDF and Word files into XML. Because I totally agree that, you know, these things are expensive. Converting and creating XML, you know, we spend money on typesetters to do this work for us, and it's not that easy. So and I know that PKP has so the public knowledge oh gosh, I always get, yeah, okay. So on the OJS platform, they have got tools where they're doing conversions. So they've been developing work like that, and we work with them on an editor that we're called Libra Editor, where people could actually put their content into a format already, so basically into a WYSIWYG editor that will convert to XML on the output. So there are things happening, and I realize that, you know, the two-tier system, that's what we're at eLife are working to reduce as well. So there are things in the pipeline that could help people.
Excellent. So definitely something for the editorial, for us editorial groups to keep an eye on. Not that we have to understand it, but we just need to be able to know that something is around, so we can tell our technical people to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I need. I don't understand the technology, but I just need to know, so I can say enough to somebody to say, press a button and make it happen. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Melissa. That was very interesting.